Alright, so we are going to be doing an EA Sports games collection. Now I have 15 EA Sports games, ranging from working to non-working order. It's going to be a little bit long. It's going to be freaking epic. Now, let's get on to this video. Starting off is NBA Live 2003 for the GameCube. It worked perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. It's in the GameCube right now, so I'll show you. Here's the disc. Now let's move on to our next game. Next up is Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2003 for the PS2. It works perfectly fine, no issues well, there's a couple issues. First off, it had some problems loading the gameplay up, and it was messing up. Trailers can be played very well. Otherwise, this game works. Could be able to do the intro video. Now let's move on to our next EA Sports game. Next up is Madden NFL 2004 for the PS1. It's in a blockbuster case, but the back says NASCAR Thunder 2004, which is my upcoming game. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. It's a black disc, like I have with GTA 1 and GTA London 1969. My others. Otherwise, it works. Now let's move on to our next game. Next up is NCAA Football 2004 for the PS2. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. The case for is damaged. Otherwise, the disc works. I'll show you the instruction booklet backs right here. The back of the NCAA Football 2004 instruction booklet is Madden NFL 2004. I already have this game, but it's for the PS1. In the back of NBA Live 2003 has Madden NFL 2003 in it, which is also my upcoming game. Now let's move on to our next game. Next up is NHL 2004 for the PS2. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. In the instruction booklet, it shows FIFA Soccer 2004. I don't have any of FIFA Soccer 2004. Yeah, I don't have FIFA Soccer games yet, but I'll get them as soon as I could. Now let's move on to our next game. Next up is Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2004 for the PS2. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. And the instruction booklet displays the same thing as Madden NFL 2004 for the PS1, NASCAR Thunder 2004. Yeah. Now let's move on to our next game. Next up is Madden NFL 2005 for the PS2. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. And the back has, no trailers on the back. Now let's move on to our next game. Next up is NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. And there's a PS1 memory card in it. Now let's move on to our next game. Next up is NCAA March Madness 2005 for the PS2. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. Next up is NBA Live 2006 for the PS2. It works perfectly fine, just the trailers mess up. Now let's move on to our next game. Next up is Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2006 for the PS2. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. Next up is NASCAR 2007 for the PS2. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. Next up is NCAA Football 2007. It does not work because of the loading issues. Next up is NASCAR 2007 for the PS2. It works 2008. It's not 2007, it's 2008. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. The disc says Kevin's right here. Now let's move on to our next game. last but not least is Madden NFL 10. It works perfectly fine, no issues whatsoever. As you notice, in my whole entire collection, all of my EA Sports games works, except for NCAA Football 2007, which had bunches of loading issues. Now that's going to do with me for my entire EA Sports games collection. This is Dad's account. Thank you for watching. I hope you like, subscribe, and comment. See you again in the next video for more of your favorite reviews, compilations, the collection of my stuff, and more.